Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso at thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below. Your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see here on Watchbox Reviews. Reach out to me directly, tmosso at thewatchbox.com. Today we are discussing a discontinued Rolex Oyster Perpetual Milgauss, the 116400, launched in 2007 and discontinued in this combination of clear crystal and black dial back in 2013. So this is a time-tested design that's less raffishly postmodern than the green crystal and less weird than the Z Blue. Let's take a quick look at the fit and the feel. The watch is 40 millimeters in diameter, and dimensionally it's just about identical to the current Air King. It's a thinner watch than you might think, at 13.3 millimeters thick and 40 millimeters by 13.3. It has a curious property of being almost exactly the same distance across the wrist if you measure from the end link and the lug. You can see they're almost flush, which means that the watch absolutely measures 49.5 millimeters across the wrist. The spacing between the lugs is a modern 20 millimeters that will give you many options in that common size. So if you want to throw it on a strap, you're going to have a bevy of opportunities. The timepiece looks great on my 16 centimeter circumference wrist, as much because of the shape of the lugs as because of the compact dimensions across the wrist and reasonably thin profile. Because the timepiece has an almost Datejust-like case profile, you can see that the lugs are nicely tapered and downturned, so it arcs well around the wrist, and I can recommend it for a wrist as small as 13.5 centimeters circumference. It feels quite sharp, quite comfortable, and quite solid, as Rolex bracelets in steel generally feel as redoubtable as many other brands' gold bracelets. That's how solid everything is. Solid end links, solid center links, milled clasp, polished centers, satin finished shoulders, and then polished outer faces with removable links fixed by screws. You can see that the clasp itself features straight through polish top, a lift lock system with a beak and a hook internally that keeps it shut, so you can't just pull it open. You do have to lift the trigger and unlock it internally. You can see that the clasp swing arm is polished, so this is no entry-level Rolex model. You can see that with the polished straight through, the polished center links, and the polished internals. There is a 5 millimeter easy link system. It is a snap-in, snap-out. It's the equivalent of adding or removing one sizable link. And then if you look inside the clasp, you can see that there are several drilled divots that allow you to re-anchor the bracelet inside the clasp body. So 3 ways to fine-tune the fit. You have the removable links, you have easy link, and you have the divots. Roll it all over. I mentioned the case is graceful, and it is. It's not a super case. It's not squared off or sheer. The lugs aren't stubby and cut down. They're beautiful, flowing, fluid, and lyrical, with polish on the top, polish on the side, and a complex curvature you don't get on the sheer-sided GMTs, subs, and sea dwellers. Now, the bezel is conical and of high polish, and the watch has a different look and ambiance on the wrist than the rotating bezel sports watches. If ever a Rolex sports watch were to be a ideal dress watch match, it would be this, as it's not quite as wacky about the dial as the other Milgauss models, nor is it as crazy and multicolored as the current Air King. So this is a watch that works well with formal attire, especially since it slips easily under a cuff with that conical bezel. Now, the dial is black with orange accents outboard of the white gold indices. You can see Milgauss in orange, and then a true to history lightning bolt or electrical arc seconds hand. This is actually something you would have seen on the original mid-50s Milgauss. So while we often think of the 50s as being a stolid, sober, and somewhat repressed period, engineers knew how to have fun back then, and the original Milgauss, reportedly devised for workers at CERN, did include a very similar type of seconds hand, albeit not orange. Now, the watch is loomed. You will see loom at the end of the video. There will be a shot. You can see that this is no entry-level Rolex dial, as we all applique white gold indices and an applique white gold crown rather than a printed piece. Inside the case, well, there's a lot going on. You can see it's a solid case back, and it's 100 meters water resistant with a Rolex screw-down twin lock crown. But the caliber 3131 automatic features a soft iron paramagnetic cage whose job is to channel magnetic field lines around the escapement and the hairspring, but it goes farther than that. The latest Milgauss also includes an antimagnetic escapement, so that is the actual anchor and the escape wheel, and then it has a niobium zirconium blue oxidized antimagnetic hairspring that Rolex calls parachrom blue, and because that same material was used to create the hairspring in the 1980s IWC 3508 50,000 ampere per meter, I suspect that this watch, which is Milgauss nominally 80,000 ampere per meter, is actually much more antimagnetic than Rolex claims. I haven't been able to test it with an MRI, but that's coming. Now the rest of the movement is pretty stock Rolex automatic. Bidirectional winding, 48-hour power reserve, beaten away at 8 beats per second. It has a stop second or hacking feature, 5 position adjustments, COSC chronometer certification, very accurate. It also features an overcoil hairspring to help it keep excellent time in any of those 5 tested positions of the chronometer test, and it features a full balance bridge with a free sprung index for shock resistance. This is a great all-arounder and a discontinued piece that's gaining more and more attention. Email tmosso@thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details. And we're back by night with the Milgauss.